This is the story of a home. A home that began with my great-grandfather, George Vanderbilt, in 1888. George came to Asheville from New York because the air here was said to have healing properties. And there was definitely something in the air. From that first moment, he knew. He never wanted to leave. His soul had awakened.
I came to this spot under favorable circumstances and thought the prospect fairer than any other I had seen. It occurred to me that I would like to have a house here.
George commissioned Frederick Law Olmsted, who sited the house on an overlook to capture the beautiful mountain vistas, and choreographed the 3-mile arrival through a picturesque landscape. When my great-grandfather envisioned his new house, he reached out to his most trusted family architect, Richard Morris Hunt.
Richard, this house has to be worthy of the majesty of this land. Let us create the most beautiful manor house the world has ever seen, beyond the likes of any on my travels through Europe.
Okay, George, what do you think of this?
Beautiful. How about a gallery to display all of the tapestries?
Excellent. We'll need more space.
Let's make the dining room bigger so we can welcome guests from far and wide.
Yes, let's make it a great hall.
What if we bring the winter garden right into the middle of the house?
I'm going to need a bigger piece of paper.
Yes, indeed.
Now the chateau is beginning to hum. The mountains are just the right size and scale for it.
The project was so grand in ambition that it took hundreds of the country's best laborers and craftsmen to create. Construction in the 1890s was very dangerous work, but all the workers were paid well and overcame long hours and many challenges.
Extra, extra, read all about it. The most beautiful house on earth. A palace overlooking the French Broad River. Beautiful Biltmore will stand for ages.
In 1895, George was finally able to move into his dream house. With over 250 rooms covering 175,000 square feet, he was now living in the largest house in America. Unfortunately, Richard Morris Hunt died before the house was complete. In his final years, Richard had become like a father to George, and George felt that loss deeply. Alone in the house of his dreams, George was one of the most eligible bachelors in the world. He had no family of his own to share his life with, and no promising prospects. At least, not yet. Enter a young American woman named Edith Stuyvesant Dresser. Edith, who was living in Paris, was outgoing, elegant, and loved a good dinner party. Edith met George through a mutual friend. They reconnected and began their courtship in Paris. She found herself falling in love with this passionate man. George himself was equally smitten. They married, and soon after moved to Biltmore together.
A new star has appeared at the famous Biltmore, and the charming mistress of this most gorgeous home is smiling upon her firstborn, a tiny girl called Cornelia Stuyvesant Vanderbilt, and the world shares in her newfound happiness.
George was so happy to have a family of his own. He began ordering children's books for the library, and he even penned his own nursery rhyme for his daughter. As Cornelia grew up, she loved spending hours with her father, wandering the gardens and forests. George's love of nature was infectious, and he made it all feel so magical. He taught Cornelia to take care of the land around them.
Cornelia, it is our duty to be stewards of this land. Someday you and later your children will be the caretakers of this very special place.
Mrs. Emily King kept Biltmore humming for nearly 20 years. As head housekeeper, she met with George and Edith almost every day.
I have the morning list. Let's make a fine impression. Run a bath for young Miss Cornelia. The guests will be down for breakfast in 10 minutes. See to it that the bed linens are washed by midday. I can still see dust on these curtains. Decorations in the main hall need to go up before the guests arrive. Let's get a move on.
George was very selective about the guest list. Writers, artists, and politicians were always coming to the house. One time, President William McKinley visited with a pack of reporters, and the staff refused to let the press inside. They forced their way in anyway. Edith fell in love with photography and set up a darkroom at Biltmore so she could document their life here. Edith's photos captured the family and the beauty of what they were creating. Like many men of his time, my great-grandfather didn't betray much sentimentality in his words. His way of showing love was to create places of rare beauty. But this paradise would not last forever. George went to the hospital for an appendectomy. It was a routine operation, but there were complications after the surgery. Edith and Cornelia awaited his homecoming, but my great-grandfather never returned to his family and his beloved Biltmore. George was only 51 years old.
I cannot get used to the idea that George is not coming back. It seems to me that he must, and that all I am doing is preparatory to his arrival. We were so happy, and I miss him so dreadfully.
Cornelia had never seen her mother so quiet, so withdrawn. She desperately wanted to find the words to make Edith feel better, but she didn't know what to say. Edith and Cornelia found some comfort that George was still, in many ways, always with them, in the walls and the art and the grounds of their home. Edith was strong. She picked herself back up, and even in her grief, her passion had not been diminished. George had started Biltmore, but Edith continued it. Under her stewardship, the house blossomed. In life, George had supported the local Asheville community by funding schools and hospitals, and Edith expanded on this community work. She became president of the North Carolina State Fair and supported the Red Cross and veterans. Cornelia found new ways to stay close to her father even after his death. Inspired by his love for the arts, she became an artist. Every time her paintbrush touched canvas, she felt a connection with her father. loved hosting big society events. In late 1925, she and her friends painted a basement room in bold, folkloric scenes for a New Year's Bohemian ball. Cornelia met her husband, the Honorable John Cecil, during this time. Their wedding was the grandest celebration Biltmore had ever seen. After they married, John stepped down from his position as a British diplomat to devote his life to managing the estate and carry the tradition of stewardship into a new era. Eventually, the Great Depression left its mark on Biltmore and Asheville. To boost the local economy and to bring income for the estate, Cornelia and John decided to open Biltmore to the public in 1930.
I hope that by opening Biltmore to the public, Asheville and Western North Carolina will derive all of the benefits they deserve, and that the people who go through the house and the estate will get as much pleasure and enjoyment out of it as I do in making it possible. This is a fitting memorial to my father, as it was his life's work and his creation.
In the decades after George's death, his legacy flourished under the stewardship of his descendants and their families. I grew up immersed in the wonder of this land, watching my father, William Cecil, and his brother, George Cecil, work hard to preserve and grow Biltmore. My brother Bill and I, along with the next generation, have all dedicated ourselves to this same goal. Each generation has taken on the duty of stewardship that George laid out from the very beginning, building a model for scientific forestry and land conservation. My great-grandfather created a place of rare beauty. Let the gardens and forests embrace you as the majestic architecture rises with timeless grace and the breathtaking art stirs your soul. George's dream lives inside them all. Today, people from every corner of the world walk these halls, drawn by the same wonder that inspired him. And now, by being here, you become part of something greater. Your presence, your awe, your support, all help carry George's legacy forward, ensuring that his vision continues to inspire connection and discovery for generations to come.